What is going on, everybody? This is Raj from Eastside Rage, and during my Calypso Protocol review, I said good graphics don't make good games. And Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is yet another example. I can't even call this shit a game, because all you do is have to look up a fucking walkthrough on fucking YouTube and you'll get the same exact fucking result. I get the first game was an interactive adventure game, but you had more choices and didn't feel like it was completely on fucking rails. It's like you're in a car and you're on a one-way street and a fucking traffic cop is directing traffic and you're a passenger. That's what the whole entire journey feels like. A 5-hour fucking controlled one-way street. This video may get more dislikes than usual because I've noticed on X, while there are level-headed people that agree and some disagree normally, but they can acknowledge the flaws, you have these a bunch of fucking Xbox fucking purists making every goddamn excuse in the book to fucking defend their goddamn glorified graphical walking simulator, but somehow will knock every PlayStation game for supposedly being them, and even comparing games like fucking God of War and Spider-Man to it. Yeah, God of War and Spider-Man, a game where you do nothing but fighting and swinging up in the fucking sky. I don't understand that. And I'm gonna just put it this way: if you are a diehard Xbox fanboy, fuck off. Do yourself a favor and fuck off right now, because as usual, I'm not pulling any punches. That being said, we are on to the review. This game takes place not too long after the events of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, where you play as the same protagonist, Senua, in the 9th century. In a time and place that's based off of Norse mythology, aka Viking mythology, well, where they worship the gods. There's not really gods in this game. There were gods in part 1, but this is more about giants. Anyway, you know, she purposely gets herself captured and enslaved on her way to Iceland to free her people who are enslaved. She suffers from psychosis still, and I'm sure it's schizophrenia and hallucinations, because she will hear voices that are not there and sometimes can't tell what's real and fake. And add that into, you know, memories of her abusive father, and you have a clusterfuck of emotions roller coastering out of control, although she's able to figure things out and stay sane for the most part and see things people can't see. The story seems decent from listening to it, but it doesn't do much to make me give two fucks of a rabbit ass about what's gonna happen next or happen to all these unmemorable characters. I'm not gonna lie, I can't even remember their names. I remember who they are by face, but you know, 5 main characters in it, if I'm counting right, didn't really give a fuck about them. I only found myself contemplating throwing myself off of my apartment building, forcing myself through it, even though this game was only a mere few hours. I even fell asleep during fucking streaming this game because of how much of a snooze fest it was. Like, every time, just walk. All you're doing is walking, bit of combat, then a fucking cutscene. So too much hand holding in this game, too much cutscenes. Like, it feels like I'm watching a fucking TV show on fucking Netflix. Like, seriously, Ninja Theory. But I don't know why Xbox even greenlit this fucking idea. Like, I don't know. But let's just move on to the positives. Get that out of the way first. Well, first and foremost, obviously the graphics. I would say it's not the best art style I've seen. However, it is the most realistic game I've taken a look at in all my years of gaming. This game is beautiful, from the lighting to character models, all the way down to those little tiny pebbles and rocks, all those textures, trees and everything. If you're heavily into graphics and like messing around in photo mode, this game is for you. Like, you know, staring at water streams and all that, it's for you. I'm not gonna lie. Like, bro, art directors did what they had to do in this category, while the graphic designers, and like, you know, and I would say another thing is the sound design. It's on point, you know, from like, you know, the ambiance to, you know, the footsteps to the swords clashing together to the dialogue to hearing those voices in my head. Like, I thought I was actually schizophrenic at one point. The sound design is on point too. They also did a great job in that category. And the acting is like watching a fucking movie, honestly. Well, a B movie, but it was like watching a fucking movie. The actors, I salute them. Great. But to be honest, this game should have just been one. Should have just been put on HBO Max or Netflix, because the game is very lacking. Well, the gameplay itself is very lacking. If you decide to pay $50 or subscribe to Game Pass to play this game, which I highly recommend you don't, you'll be paying to play the role of somebody with a fucking camera on a roller coaster for 5 to 6 hours. No cap. You'll be pushing the left stick on your fucking controller forward more than you're in combat. And don't get me started on the fucking combat, dear lord. The combat in this game is just you fighting an enemy with about a few sets of combos with your sword and one power-up where you slow down time, and when you're done, the next enemy will grab you out of nowhere and you fight the next one. And this shit happens over and over and over again in a set order due to scripted events until the combat sequence is over. That's it. That's really the combat. That's what the combat is. You can't avoid combat counters, take on multiple enemies at once, select different fighting approaches. No, it's always do this our way or it's no way. That occurs for the game's puzzles as well. Like, duh, like there's nothing. Everything must be done in a set order for you to progress. I don't understand this about this game. Everything is so goddamn scripted. Everything is way too scripted. Like, okay, and I know what you're saying. Well, next, what about fucking upgrades? What about rewards? What are those? There is none. Absolutely none. All you have is your sword in a pouch to slow down fucking time. That is it. Whatsoever. No freedom, no sense of freedom, anything that makes you feel like you accomplished something. And the level design is so fucking underwhelming. Like, it's so underwhelming, despite that despite the fact, there's no despite the fact. The only way to progress is there's no alternative routes outside of puzzles and statues that might give you insight on the Norse law, but it all leads to the same fucking objective. And it's just an A to B fucking game, giving you the illusion sometimes it's this big ass fucking, linear game where you could do other things in it. And it wouldn't be such a problem if the game wasn't so fucking dull and combat and with this puzzles and enemies and everything. I'll get to the enemies and bosses in a second, but I like some of the level. The cave was really dragged out. I hated it. It was dark, boring, dull. They tried to make it scary. It was stupid. Every time they gave you a chance to seem like you were coming outside of the puzzle, coming outside of the cave, you ended up on another side of the cave. It was honestly absolutely ridiculous. I played interactive fucking games, that were way better. Yeah, like I'm gonna put a few on my screen right here, like, because I don't really feel like knocking them off. Yeah, I get it's an interactive game, but there's no choice. Not a good plot. The plot is just okay. It's not that great, and the characters are just dull. I can't even remember their fucking names. It's not because they're pronounced differently. They're just, the characters feel like they're just fucking there, and they're fucking, like, in one level they're fucking stupid. You literally have to fucking save them when they were literally 3 feet, when they were literally 20 feet away from each other. Like, come on, man. I don't get that. Jesus Christ. Moving on to enemies and boss fights. The enemies, I would say, if I remember correctly, there are 3 different types. There are they have different weapons, but you got humans, slash Vikings, Draugr and fucking, like, let's see, these cave creatures, but like I said, they are easy to fight, and they, you always get second chances when you get knocked down to power up, slow down time, and tear them the fuck up. So it really doesn't fucking matter, to be honest. It doesn't matter what fucking happens to you. And yeah, this game is also about hunting giants. you are supposed to set giants free or kill them. Guess what? That does not fucking happen. She it's always, you know, hide behind an object to get to those fucking giants, set them free, or she sets them free in a fucking cutscene, or you fucking, you know, oh no, she fucking kills them in a cutscene. Well, kills, quote unquote. That's what happens in the boss fights. I don't know if you consider the first one a boss fight with this forgot his name too. I mean, who becomes your companion. He's a boss. Then you fight. You know, it was basically just like a warm up of what's the fucking come. Then you fight his father, who fucking kills him. Who swings his fucking, who just has his heavy sword and just swings it the fuck around. Really, his father wasn't really much of a challenge either. Those are the only two, well, quote unquote, boss fights, if you consider those boss fights. Like, it's just a whole bunch of lack of things that you would consider in a game. Okay, let's move on to the verdict. Yeah, surprise, this review wasn't that long. Yeah, what, you were really expecting me to give this fucking game a big ass effort? No way. They didn't give me much of an effort with a playthrough. No. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is by far the worst Xbox exclusive I've ever played. It's not only very, very boring, but it makes me question if it should have been developed as a game or just put on Netflix, HBO Max, or even fucking Tubi as a fucking B fucking movie instead of a game, or maybe a 5 episodic series. That's where it should belong. Maybe it's not $70, but with the price tag of $50 and with the dev time of 4 to 5 years by Ninja Theory and being under the management of Xbox Studios, I expected a lot better, and that is why I'm rating a 4 out of 10. People might overreact and say maybe I should give it a 7 or 6, but I did not like most things about it. I am sorry, I did not like it. It's not that I didn't think it was worth it. I don't really have nothing to say about it aside of graphics, sound design, and acting. I was not impressed with anything of it. The gameplay was very slow paced. The plot was underwhelming. The characters are uninteresting. Like, the level design is horrid. The combat is just heavily scripted. Everything is way too scripted. And if you disagree with me, write down in the comments, prove me wrong, show me why I should have gave this game a higher score. But anyway, this is Eastside Rage signing out. Keep raging out. I'll catch you on the next stream.